Movie Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Wars podcast, and we are continuing our Crow podcast series here. It's El Nino. Get it right, Cracker Jack. I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
There comes a time in every man's life where he's got to look at his kitchen and think, this isn't good. I'm Drew.
I forgot my quote, but it's, I now pronounce you devil and shorty. Oh, God damn.
What in God's name?
I hate everything so much.
I know. Usually I...
Fuck you for making me watch this movie.
Yes, that's what I was
Oh
going
my
to start
God.
off with. Usually I put a lot of... The monologue's like that's my piece. You know, I love like writing it, making it intricate, putting my thoughts down. Literally my only thought that I wanted to start us off with was that last night I got a text message from Seth saying, fuck you, I hate you for making me watch this. And I felt really bad because I hadn't seen this in years. And I honestly forgot.
And now you know why.
And I kind of advertised it to you guys as a movie that's so bad it's funny, but actually it's not that good.
It's not.
It's so bad.
There's
it's not funny.
So many thoughts that I have.
Yeah.
I
Oh my God.
respectfully disagree. It was so bad. It made it so much fun to watch. I laughed more at this movie than I probably enjoyed myself at this movie more than any of the other ones. Now, if it was was it a good movie? Absolutely not. But it's just you know what it was, and we're all comedians, we can relate to this. It was like watching a really bad comedian at an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
It was like watching just a train wreck of a comedy set.
Like one we all agree isn't funny and should stop, but they're the most persistent.
But they're so bad that you
you
end up laughing because
and it's
of how
like
bad
part
it
of
is.
the experience. And at the end of the night, you and all the other people in the crowd are like, we experienced that together.
Yeah.
And it's just like I think it's. I mean, Seth, we were talking about this because he's talking because here's my theory, and it may not be the case, but my theory is that going into it, this is more believable to me at least. Going into it, they were like, let's make an awful, really bad movie just for the fun of it. But Seth was telling me that a lot of people make really bad movies and think like, man, this was the best movie ever.
Oh, I've worked on a few of those.
So
it can get rough.
I just can't believe that Tara Reid and the director and all these other people, after the movie came out and they watched it, can't believe they were like, man, that's gonna win an Oscar. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
There are lots of creatives, and I'm 37. I started off in a band. I did stand up. Now all this stuff. I write books. You know, I do everything.
Yeah.
And you just meet people. And this isn't me saying I think I'm special, but I've had points in my careers various careers where I've gotten affirmation. I've gotten a song on the radio. I've played Zanies. Like things have happened where at least somebody said, "Okay, you're good at that a little, at least a little bit.
You're not terrible."
Yeah, you're not terrible. You're not the best, but you're definitely not the worst. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you meet some people that in their mind they think so highly, and it's so
God's gift to
delusional.
mankind.
Yeah.
And it's so delusional. That is this movie.
Yes.
I'm gonna start calling those people the wicked prayer.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm like, you're just a wicked prayer, man. They're gonna like, that's a weird compliment.
I was definitely praying this would end. This whole...
Yeah. The first thing I wrote down with regard to this movie was simply spin kick.
Yes.
'Cause that is where 35 seconds into the actual movie starting, that is where I said, what the fuck, for the first time of probably 200 times throughout this movie.
I'll be honest, my first thought, the muscle car drives by, the guy gets out on a wife's sleeveless shirt, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and he has a baseball, and I'm like, Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Like, Fast and Furious
Yes.
universe has finally crossed over with the Crow.
Yeah.
So here's my first theory as to why the movie was so bad. I think they spent half the budget on those custom paint jobs for those cars.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where the $2 million went, and they were like, oh shit, now we actually gotta make the movie, and they didn't have enough money. That's my first theory.
Yeah. And random cameos from famous pop stars.
Love it.
Yeah.
We got Damon John before Shark Tank, founder of FUBU. We've got Macy Gray. We've got Danny Trejo. It's like, how did we get these people in the movie? Like,
Because
why
they
were
knew
they
it was
interested?
the perfect movie. They knew this was gonna...
Let's be real though, Danny Trejo has not made the best movies.
That's true.
He's made some great ones, not all the best. I do think Damon John should not have gotten on Shark Tank after this movie.
Yes.
How did
Yeah.
they see that he funded this movie? He was the executive producer on this movie. How did they see that he invested in this and still went, no, yeah, you make wise choices.
You make great financial business decisions.
Yeah,
Let's
we
get you
love
on a
this.
show about investment.
We should try to get on Shark Tank and like try to get like investment from him for our like baby food Tupperware business. And be like, actually, I don't want to work with you. I saw Wicked Prayer. I don't want you in my life.
Or we go on there and we pitch Wicked Prayer without saying Wicked Prayer, and everyone's just like, "That's the like, are you on drugs?"
Yeah,
That would be the greatest April Fool's joke on that show ever.
I mean, there's so much about this movie that is so dumb that I love it. I think my favorite thing. Well, no, there's a lot. I don't even know what my favorite thing, but this is a thing I'll mention. The fact that the villain could have won, like Satan could have won, if he had just literally finished having sex with Tara Reid.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound that hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe you couldn't get it hard.
I don't know, but it's like that's the plot. Like I'm not like giving a fun like little twist of like a comedic. No, like that is literally
plot.
That's how the bad guy would have won at the end, was if he had finished the job.
Yeah.
Fuck me, babe.
Yeah. Yeah, even Satan has problems performing at the right time.
Yeah, he had a lot of pressure. He had a time frame. I mean, he's older, so like, you know. But also, can I say one good thing about the movie?
Please.
And maybe this might be the only good thing, but out of all the series, and we're gonna review the next one next week, and so at this point we've watched all of them, so I feel comfortable saying this. This one spends the most time developing the villains. We actually like the villains literally have more stage time than the actual Crow, the hero of the you know more about why they're the way they are. And sometimes it's almost like there was one line that Tara Reid had where she's like, I don't want to go back to being a nobody. And suddenly like you understood why she was like having sex with Satan.
Yeah,
which
then
is weird.
she called someone a useless slut, which I feel like is the pot calling the kettle black in that situation.
Yeah, not perfect. But I did like that they took time developing each terrible villain. And of course, I mean, the real person, the real hero and person we should feel sorry for is that hearse driver. Oh my gosh.
That's Damon John.
Yeah.
I did
Damon
not
John.
feel sorry for him in the slightest, because why did you fund this piece of shit script?
I'm not wearing FUBU anymore.
Ever. I never have, and I never will.
I mean, I love just watching him rock out when he was driving the hearse. Like I was like, that guy's what a great day this dude was having, and then it went straight to hell, literally.
Yeah.
I will say that was the best acting he did. Was just that moment where he's like, shit!
Dude, he's grooving. And then at one point when he's like, how are you still a virgin?
Yeah.
Like, this movie was delightful. Good? No.
Yeah.
But like,
oh my god.
Yeah, some of the thoughts I had that I wrote down. Well, first of all, back to your comment about, I think the reason we got to know these villains so well is because they cast Edward Furlong as the lead, and he's a train wreck. He has no business leading this film. He's
so bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
He couldn't decide if he was gay or not.
Yes, he had enunciation things. A lot of people comment on that about his weird enunciation. He's not confident. He doesn't know martial arts. Anytime they asked him to do anything that required movement, he looked like me. Yeah. He looked like what I would look like fighting. I was like, good God.
I think the rule in movies is you need to be able to do whatever better than I can. Like if I can get up there and look the same.
If you're gonna beat some ass, beat some ass. Like seriously, he looked awkward. Like anytime he had to deliver like a punch, like half the movie it feels like he's getting his ass kicked.
Also, like at one point they were asking like, "Are you an angel or a devil?" And he's like, "I don't even know." And I was like, "That's the most believable line you said." It's like you don't know.
I don't think you know anything that's going on with this movie. You're just reading cue cards.
Do you know that you're in a movie right now?
These are cameras.
But he showed us some stuff in American History X. Like he can act, and part of his plight is that he was a child actor in one of the most beloved and innovative movies of all time, but he didn't necessarily grow up to.
Are you talking about the Crow Wicked Prayer?
Yeah, the Wicked Prayer. Yeah.
I mean,
in
T2, it is the saddest decline, fucking from like you just said T2 to what the hell did you do 11 years later? Like why?
And what the hell happened? Like at least Eric Mabius, like he came from Hallmark. That's not great, but he's still a lot better than Furlong. I mean,
oh my god, it's like that. Well, I guess people don't like really Hayden Christensen when he came in as Anakin, and then every movie he's done since. and everyone was like, "Oh, he sucked." And then the sequel trilogy came out, and they were like, "Actually, he was pretty good."
Yeah.
The problem is, I don't think people are gonna watch this new one and look back on this one any fonder.
Yeah. Yes.
No.
Oh my god.
Although, so this one was straight to DVD.
Correct.
Or VCR. Right?
Did they know
so,
that when they made it?
This one they did know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I swear they just went out of their way to make a shitty movie. Like
I
they were
think
like
so.
they were like, we don't care, no one's gonna see it. Let's just have fun being ridiculous. It was a parody of movies. I feel like.
Well, this is the comments I had, and this is how I'll try to describe it. You remember my Chinese football jersey illusion from last episode?
Yeah.
And when I say a bad dream, I don't mean it in the cliche like it was like a bad dream. Like really think about the bad dreams you have. Like the worst dreams you have are bad because they don't make sense. Like I had a dream once that my wife left me because I buried her jelly beans in the backyard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like dreams that are scary because you're like, what's happening? The jelly beans.
Yeah.
And then I also had another dream where my wife was gonna leave me, but that she wanted me to interview her new husbands. And so she brought all the potential husbands over, and it was my job to, and like, why is this happening? That's what watching this movie was like. It's like I couldn't figure out why it was so bad.
Right.
It was so disjointed. Like the way things, everyone acts like they're reading off of it. Like everyone got a different script in the mail. You know, it's like a discover your own adventure book in that way. And I don't know what I'm seeing, actually. I'm sitting here trying to think, why is this so bad? But I cannot come up with it's just so, there's so much malaise happening.
Yeah. I will say my dreams are usually better lit than this movie was.
Yes.
This movie had some of the flattest, most boring lighting. See, here's what I will give. We all agree The First Crow was a fantastic movie. We're just going to pretend that we're now only looking at all of the sequels. The thing that made the other two sequels watchable was the fact that it looked like everyone was trying to do their job well. The lighting guys were killing it in the other movies. They weren't as great as the original, but they still were doing a good job. This one, they were just like, all right, put some lights up, make sure you can see everybody, and don't go for any nuance whatsoever.
Yes.
You just want to see everything.
It was just
so bad.
It was they were like, let's make it a Western.
Yeah.
Let's just do
But
it.
a very
the other ones were
homoerotic
like
Western where no one's going to admit they're gay.
It was like all the other ones are in like dark, gritty cities, and then this one's like, how about the Sahara Desert?
Except,
that seems like
except they filmed it in Utah and pretended it was Mexico. Like they couldn't even go to Mexico to make this movie. They had to go to Mormon country.
I was cool with the random dystopian. We're in a desert. Like it's like with these movies, and that's something maybe we'll talk about in the next one. Is like one thing that I really like is when they just stay in the Crow universe. Like it's like, okay, this is just another story of like a crow coming and kicking somebody's ass. Like this, like they keep it like, after the first one, I really thought they were going to keep it in the same city and that would have been cool. But now that I know that like every movie is supposed to quote unquote stand alone, some of them shouldn't even be standing, honestly. But like, but now that I know that that's a thing, like when I saw that it was just in some kind of dystopian pop, like I don't know, somewhere, I was like, okay, whatever. But it's just so dumb. But see the difference between, because like I would say this one was better than the City of Angels, because when we watched, and we said this when we watched City of Angels, we were like, nobody looks like they're having a good time. Nobody wants to be here. We don't even want to be here. These people were filming such a crappy movie and saying such stupid dialogue, and somehow looked like they were having a blast doing it. Like
again, I think they thought they were making art.
I think they all ran into each other at a Cracker Barrel on a Sunday afternoon and said, "Let's make a movie." And then they went and made a movie, and that's how we got Wicked Prayer.
Well, David Boreanaz was having a good time. The guy playing Luke Crash, I think he was the only one having a good time. Which, by the way, it was so funny to me when we first meet him. Like, apparently he was in prison for really bad crimes. Like, you find out later, but doesn't it just look like he's on a cleanup crew, like cleaning up the ocean for like getting a speeding ticket? And he's doing community service. It's like, what is he like picking up cans? Like what?
It was like what? I mean. In this movie, when I was like, "Where's the backstory?" and I was like, "Oh, I don't think they're gonna do a backstory."
Yeah, they try. My only other thought I had was that it's funny seeing the zeitgeist around this franchise that was exploded around the remake coming out. Like the very passionate, faithful, Crow fans like myself came out in droves.
Yeah,
but this film. That is all gone. Like this, either it had evaporated, and I would see a lot of reasons it evaporated. The whole goth emo thing that was really popularized by the first film had disappeared.
But see, here's the thing. The first film, Brandon Lee actually looked like a terrifying goth. This one, he literally just looked like he was mad that his mom wouldn't let him go to Warped Tour.
Right.
Like that level of emo, just like sitting in his room. Because tonight will be the night. Like that kind of guy.
He kind of looked like a war boy from Fury Road, just with long hair. He kind of looked lumpy, you know. Is like, this is the guy.
He looked like a teenager with drug problems to me. Like I was like, I've seen you in my
drugs
youth groups
Adderall.
before.
It's not even anything serious.
Well, and that's what's sad. That's who Furlong has been in real life. You know, he's been in and out of rehab and. I really thought after American History X he could have done, but I just don't think he could, you know, keep it together.
Yeah.
They do, and we'll talk about this in the next movie too, but like, because they didn't in the next movie, but like, I do like whenever they become, you see like a similar personality once they become the Crow. Like once they get overpowered by the bird. I guess I don't know the science behind what happens there, but there's like a frantic kind of manic energy that each of them bring. Some of them brought better than others, but like you see that, and I've always enjoyed watching that for the past few movies. We'll get to the next movie when we get to the next movie.
Yeah,
whatever.
Nice. Well, hey, remember, if you have any fans that love Wicked Prayer, make sure you send it to them. They're in a desert somewhere, pretending to make Robert Rodriguez fans. But
honestly, send it to them and then like give them a hug, because they probably got a lot of problems if they're like, "This is an awesome movie." Like, like go hang with them. Like,
check on them. Check on your people. But for real, if you love Movie Wars, we love you guys. Thanks for supporting us. The easiest thing you can do is send it to a friend. Use that share button on social media, text message. We love y'all. All right, the questions. Here we go.
Let's do it.
This one hit me instantly. Remember, I read and write these like a talk show host.
Yeah.
Did Dennis Hopper even have a script here, or did they give him a mound of cocaine and a fur coat and say, just go do what you can here?
Unfortunately, I think he put too much thought into every word that was said on this film. I think he came out of whatever cocaine bender he was on.
Yes.
It's like, this is going to be my 2001.
He did sound like every time he was speaking, I was like, he's trying so hard. Right?
Yes.
I mean, it was like, he might have been one of the actors that'd been like, this is the best.
Yeah. I think he was truly acting his best.
Yeah. And this is what happens when you find actors at their crossroads. I mean, we saw it with Nicolas Cage and Wesley Snipes with the IRS.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong here, obviously. And Dennis Hopper has been in and out with things, with, you know, substance as well. And they make decisions.
Maybe everyone, I mean, because if you look at the cast, like a lot of them have had close contact with drug problems. So maybe they were all on a trip. Like, can you imagine filming this movie when you're on acid?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you talked about giving too much effort. I could actually see that, because and Movie Wars fans are going to hit me over the head for talking about this again, but one of my favorite improvs of all time is his as the journalist in Apocalypse Now, when he's in, there's a ton of outtakes too that didn't make it to the final cut that are amazing, of him walking around Martin Sheen while he's in the bamboo cage, and he's like improving this thing about the galaxies, and he was very high in the movie while he was doing it, but he literally improved, and like, you're like, he made that up. It was incredible. I could see him though coming to this movie like, I'm prepared.
Yeah.
I read, I memorized my lines, I did the coke. You know, but I actually do have a rando for it, but it's a funny rando. But anyway, shout out to Dennis Hopper as El Nino here.
If you're watching this,
buddy.
thanks, man.
Next question. How is it that Jimmy is the kind of guy that will beat a rapist to death, but also sit on a swing and ponder? Why is there so many scenes of him pondering on that swing under the tree?
He's a sad boy.
He's a deep, emotionally deep character.
This is the worst Crow. It has to be the worst Crow figure.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
What were they thinking with Furlong?
I might agree with that.
He's like staring into the distance on a swing, but yet I'm supposed to believe he killed a rapist, and that's why he went to prison.
He missed his woman. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to kick ass and ponder. You either ponder or you kick ass. You either write poetry or you're fucking shotgun.
The kind of people that ponder aren't like, oh, let me go brutally murder this someone. Because usually in the pondering, they're like, oh, there's probably a better way of handling this.
Yeah.
I feel like he had just finished reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu, because that's kind of the whole point, is you are supposed to ponder the universe and then go kick some fucking ass.
Yeah,
except he didn't kick ass. That was the worst fighting I've seen in all the movies.
He's getting his ass kicked the whole time. Like, I feel like half the time I'm like, what is he gonna kill anybody in this movie?
It's like he killed everybody by accident.
Yes.
Failing upwards.
He definitely was like the weakest Crow. Like, and I mean that like in the, like, he did the least amount of ass kicking. Like,
yes.
He just He just existed.
The whole time he just looked like Joe Biden falling upstairs.
Yes. Why did he come back? Like he came back to literally just do nothing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the crow that had to like empower him? He's like, really, this guy? Like,
This bitch.
Yeah. He was
I
like,
feel like
"Ugh."
it would have been a better movie if they had pulled a T3 and turned to a woman to come back instead of it being just another lame
honestly,
dude.
the his lady that died,
Yeah.
she had some more acting potential there. I felt
Absolutely.
like
She would have been a way
Yeah.
better crow.
She would have been,
Oh, Emmanuel Shrieky?
Yeah.
like she,
Yeah.
like I was. At this point, I'd seen enough of these movies where I was impressed with her acting performance. I was like, oh, this character's going somewhere. But then I was like, she's going to die in about 5. Except for the next one when she's in it for half the movie. And
Yeah. Which is funny. She would become very beloved, you know, in
Oh, yeah.
Entourage. I mean, she's pretty good actress eventually, but
It seemed like it.
yeah.
You can only do so much when you're handed a terrible script.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she did her best, I think.
And I
think she was the best in the entire movie.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think about that, but yeah, she probably if you have to say someone did the best job here,
Yeah.
you know, give someone a cookie, I guess she gets the cookie.
Yeah, I think so.
that's no fun. I want to look at who did the worst job. Like who was
Edward Furlong.
That's debatable.
but he was enjoyable to watch. Honestly, the henchman, that like the
Tito
guy,
Ortiz is Famine.
yeah.
Yeah.
the guy chosen from Cobra Kai who was also in this. Like he was the drunk guy.
my mom used to put me in.
Also, can we talk about the number of times both Edward Furlong and the villains would cover themselves in gasoline while dousing a place in gasoline?
Just random.
And then not catch on fire when they lit the matches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you clearly don't know how gasoline works.
This is bad. Must be some bad gas out there. in
Also, this is a problem I have with movies in general. Mythbusters has proven you cannot light oil with a cigarette.
yeah.
Like, it is physically impossible, and I see it in so many shitty movies where, like, the villain just flicks the cigarette, and then suddenly there's a big old fire. It's physically impossible. Stop doing it, Hollywood.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was a cult bringing back Satan, and that a crow empowered a dead person to bring him back to stop, that wasn't the unbelievable
No,
part.
that's
for
all
you.
fine. I get all that. But trying to light a whole pool, like, both water and oil with a cigarette, fuck off.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know they had busted that.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Mm.
Yeah, the things you know.
I love it. Last question. Did everyone get the same script here?
No.
No, that's the fun of it.
Or did they purposely send? It feels like everyone thinks they're in a different movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Throw them together and see what happens.
I think the director, day by day, potentially hour by hour, was just doing more lines and would do edits, but only give them to certain people.
Or maybe, like,
Yeah.
I know, because actually, all of us probably have a hand in knowing this. Like, when you edit something, sometimes you take just the biggest heap of trash.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're like, let me try to make a movie out of this.
Yeah.
And so maybe if there was like a director's cut or an extended of the unedited of what this movie was,
Yeah.
it would have been far worse and just
Yeah.
so ridiculous. But at least you're like, oh, it's the same script. So the editor had to be like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
What do I do?
They could have used the Weinstein cut, like on
Yeah.
City of Angels.
Yeah.
Like we could have used their hacksaw skills here.
And this was
Yeah.
already the shortest of most of these movies, and it
Yeah.
was still way too long.
I know. I was literally praying that it would end. Like
Yeah.
I was like, wicked prayer. Like that is my prayer. Like stop.
Yeah.
Right now.
I was excited when I saw it was an hour 40, and then by 30 minutes into it, I was like, "What the?"
It could have.
actual fuck?
They could have made it like an hour movie. I think even just if it could have stayed just as stupid but shorter, and that would have actually helped it.
I think to legally be considered a feature film, it had to be at least an hour 15. So
Oh,
I would have
okay.
been okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Just hit the bare minimum if you're going to produce a heap of shit like this.
Yeah. And there is a lot of scenes of nothing happening.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just literally like
It's just barren.
Even the
desert that they're
death
in.
scene, like when they fucking kill both of them. I thought they were gonna make out. Like the way that they're just like tightly hugging each other's faces
Yeah.
and are squeezing themselves closer. I literally thought it was about to be like, you thought you downloaded the wrong movie. I thought
that
I
was the next
downloaded
one,
the
but-
gay porno version.
you talking about Luke and Cuervo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Of course, I wouldn't want them to make the movie longer. But what I would have liked in this story, there's so many things I would have liked in this story. But one thing is, this is the first time I think where we have the Crow and the Nemesis who have like a shared backstory.
Yeah, they have
And-
history.
And we get so little information about, other than that they used to be really tight, and maybe one almost flashback, and then you're just left to ponder. And then but when they're fighting each other, like their occasional dialogue is alluding to the fact that they used to know each other so well, and I'm like, did you? Because I don't know. Like at least I think the way, I might be mixing up movies here, the way that he ultimately died was didn't he get like impaled? So it was
supposed to be a nod to Top Dollar.
Yeah, so because I feel like they do that occasionally in these movies, and I like it when they do that because it's like, oh, remember that time we made a good movie in this series? Just hold on to that emotion.
Is there anything that happened in the first one we could at least do here just to make this mildly interesting? How about we impale a guy? Oh, you mean blood? I don't know if we have any blood on set. Well, isn't this a movie about people killing people? Yeah, but we don't have any blood.
Meanwhile, someone's like, hey, what if we had a plot? And they're like, no. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's pretend Tara Reid's an actual trained sniper. Like,
good
that's
God.
more believable.
She's a train wreck.
Oh my God.
Dear God. I
could watch her for the entire hour and a half, 2-hour movie. If it was just her, I'd be like, good enough for me.
Maybe because of what American Pie is about, and I haven't seen it. I didn't like those movies, and I haven't seen one in years. But maybe because of the theme and what those movies are about, it padded us from basically every single one of those actors and actresses. Like, we just really, because it's what it's about, like, we just don't know what their skill sets are.
Yeah.
Putting her here, I was like, oh my God.
She did a better job in Sharknado than she did in this, and I think that says something.
Yes.
She did awfully here, but I feel like she was trying to be a terrible actress.
That's the problem, is I don't think she was. I think she actually thought she was doing a good job.
Yeah. Sharknado gets an Oscar compared to this.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to live in a world where these people are actually trying to act in this movie and thought it was good.
It's a gig, man.
No, man, I can't do it.
It's a gig.
I think they all got together and say, let's make a really shitty movie, and it'll be fun to watch with our grandkids.
I think someone handed her $50,000 and said, "We're gonna have you in the desert for 2 weeks. Enjoy yourself."
Also, you're gonna have sex with Satan. Okay, cool.
And bring a halter top.
But not quite. You're gonna almost fully have sex with him, but he's gonna stop, and then you're gonna say a Hail Mary because you're trying to find a curse.
But also, randomly in the movie, it shows her tragic backstory with Nino, just that flashback, and you're like, oh. Sorry, Tara Reid. I suddenly feel for you a little.
Yeah, it didn't help me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Randos.
The way this reverb in my headphones is right now, rando. Man, sounds like I'm in the bottom of a whiskey barrel, which I wish I was. What's really sad about this is the movie we didn't get, and you actually actually found this out, and I had found it out too when you texted me. I was laughing because when I read it, this is insane. This movie was originally Wicked Prayer was called The Crow Lazarus.
Yeah,
DMX
already better name, by the way.
Already better. Anytime you toss an old biblical term in there, pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
DMX was going to play a rapper who died and resurrected, and he was going to come back to kill a record executive played by Eminem,
which would have been so cool.
It would have. And Eminem has chops. 8 Miles, I don't love it, but he's good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he's not really veering away from his personality much in it, but
I wouldn't want him to, if I saw him in Crow Lazarus, I wouldn't want to see anything less than Eminem from 8 Mile anyway. Yeah. But can you, maybe you're getting to this in your rando, but they heard of that plot and they're like, no, that won't be very good. And then they made Wicked Prayer.
Yeah.
They're like, we can do better. And then this was better.
Yeah.
You're right. I would have loved that movie, and I would have been so let down at the end of it if I didn't see a freestyle rap battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was during a time period where it was very fashionable to put rap artists in movies. I think Training Day came out in 2001. It had Snoop Dogg, and I think Dr. Dre was was in it too. So this was definitely. And the thing is too, it would have been it probably would have been a little more well accepted because that was the trend and it was fresh. And but
might have made it to theaters.
It could have, and they have none of the rock music that we love. It has none of the the goth thing is over. At least it would have been relevant.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, Macy Gray, I love Macy Gray, but she was basically a one-hit wonder, and she's here. Like, you put DMX in this thing, and they tried to put DMX in a lot of movies, and I don't know why he never ends up, like, in some of the old episodes of Movie Wars, I feel like his name comes up as a potential cast a lot. Yeah. I'm just like, why were they trying to put DMX in everything? Can he even act?
DMX.
I mean, you go through those periods, like, there was a period during, like, when Avatar came out and when Terminator Salvation came out, they were trying to put Sam Worthington in everything.
Yes.
So you do have moments where, like, everyone's like, no, we can make some serious money off this guy. We just got to throw him in everything for 5 years, and then everyone's going to get tired of him, but we'll have all the money.
Russell Crowe was like that.
But see, he's made a nice, long career out of it.
Yeah.
He took his fame and has then, like, just ridden it for the longest time.
Yeah. I know what you're saying about Sam Worthington. It's like, can you be a cyborg?
Yeah.
Can you be a cop?
Yeah.
Can you be a cowboy?
Yeah, exactly.
Do it all, baby.
We'll put him in 20 movies in 5 years, and then no one will hear his name ever again.
That's going to happen to Glenn Powell right now.
Oh,
I feel like that's Glenn Powell. Is like, can you chase tornadoes?
Yeah.
Can you be a hitman?
Can you do Hallmark?
I love it.
My theory, though, on why the other movie didn't get made is because Harvey Weinstein heard they wanted to do a black crow, and he was like, no way. It's got to be a white guy.
Yeah, you think so? Is he a racist guy?
He's a terrible person.
I mean, he's a horrible person. I mean,
wouldn't put it past him for being racist. My favorite little factoid about him was that really disfigured, ugly orc in Return of the King, Peter Jackson literally designed it.
Nice.
That would be a great subtle jab. Is that actually the truth?
That's actually true.
I love
he
that.
came out in an article like a year or two ago and was like, oh no, I definitely turned that guy into Harvey Weinstein.
Gosh, every argument Harvey Weinstein's in now is going to always end with the other guy being like, well, at least no one designed an orc after me.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, this would be a side podcast. We could talk hours, but it really is amazing how many people walked around Hollywood knowing how big of a piece of shit that guy was, and for decades.
Oh my God.
But he was the cash cow. I love it. Rogan even pushed Tarantino on it.
Yeah.
And Tarantino, for the first time ever, Tarantino wasn't confident. You know, because he made his career.
Just a business.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. You didn't see the casting couch then.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's come up so much because of this series.
I know. I was like, I feel
so
like
excited
he's
to not do a
the main
Miramax
character.
movie.
In the
Yeah. We got a good slot coming in here. All right, and what's my next rando here? So my funny question earlier, what I found out later about Hopper was, and I think this is a paraphrase. I couldn't find exactly what he said, but apparently when he arrived on set, he asked the director in some form or fashion this question. So you're telling me that if I say these words in order, people will understand what they mean?
Yeah.
He had no idea, and I have no idea. And the three of us in comedy, when you're in comedy, we have been around the craziest, most aberrant, drug-fueled. I mean, we've seen it all, right? At this point, after doing stand-up as long as we have. I didn't understand a fucking thing he said.
No.
Just like, why were these words written on paper?
Because someone thought, let's make a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be funny if Hopper said this?
Yeah. It doesn't. And that's why I talked about in the beginning why it felt like a bad dream. Like, it just feels like from scene to scene, nothing connects.
Yeah.
It's just like the way it's played, what's written on the paper. It just is like, was that random?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this your James Joyce moment? Is this your Ulysses stream of consciousness moment?
They asked AI to make a Crow movie.
That is exactly what it is before
They
AI.
had ChatGPT back in 2004.
I
They were
mean,
like, please write a script, and this is what it came out with.
Yes, I feel like it would come up with a better one than this.
Probably.
This is
almost definitely.
What's happening? Like, that was my big question. I'm just like, every scene, I'm like, what was that? Right. I've never had a movie this bad. At least Wicker Man, and they were basing it on a really good movie. At least Wicker Man had like a, we get it, we get the point. But this movie, I'm literally just every scene, I'm like, what the fuck?
This was probably the worst movie I've seen in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
this is one of those movies, if someone asked me what it was about, I could not explain the plot to you.
Yeah. We've got some real keen
Honestly,
Satanists.
I think you could explain the plot, but you would have to keep a straight face as you're explaining the plot. Yeah, so basically there's a cult that brings Satan back, and the only reason to keep Satan there is if he has sex with Tara Reid. And then there's this guy that his girlfriend dies, and then he comes back because the spirit of a crow resurrects him.
And somehow all the native Mexicans sound racist while speaking in their native accent.
He comes
and
out of a
also,
refrigerator.
There's this virgin who works at a funeral home. So, I would love to explain the plot to somebody.
You're right. If you had to explain it, but listening to you explain it is more entertaining than any part of the movie.
Completely. Absolutely. This is another one of those movies where like halfway through I just got up and started working out because I was like, I can't.
And maybe that's why this movie didn't bother me as much, because I was watching it while I was like eating lunch, while I was getting ready to go to Louisville. My brain was doing other things as I was watching whatever was on the screen.
I'm surprised you could keep your lunch down.
I was all in on this movie while I was watching it for the first half.
Drew, I think we need to cover a movie where he doesn't feel the need to work out in the middle of it.
Please, can we?
Maybe that's
4 movies.
That's the sign of a good movie, where it's like if Seth decides not to put himself through physical pain.
Yes.
A movie so good you're like, how can I do anything but watch this movie right now?
And you're telling me that wasn't The Wicked Prayer for you?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
I cleaned I'm not gonna lie. I cleaned my kitchen. It's my job to be super in tune. I was cleaning my kitchen.
Yeah.
I changed 2 diapers.
That night, I did a show in Louisville with comedians I'd never met. And before the show, I was telling them, I was like, I just watched The Wicked Prayer. And they're like, what? We've never even heard of that. I'm like, no, but like, this is and then as soon as I explained it, I was like, I get why you guys don't seem enthused, right?
Yeah.
Can I be honest? The title "Wicked Prayer" makes it sound like it's going to be a Boston cop movie.
Yeah, or a Blair Witch, or a Hocus Pocus, something witch related.
Yeah, it's the Wicked Prayer, buddy.
Yeah, it does. It does have a Bostonian tone to it, but then you see the desert, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Where's the pub? Oh my God. And then I don't even want to get into it, but the coal miner, like they got the coal miner thing thrown in there. And by the end of the movie, you're like, wasn't there a coal mine issue?
Yeah.
Like, what was that about? You're just
then
like,
they briefly mention it like right near the end where he's like, we can't have to build a casino. And I'm like, this sounds like it's better for everybody.
yeah. This town could use a facelift. All right. Last rando, and this is just shameful. I mean, the only actress doing any form of work here is Emmanuel Shrieky here.
Yeah.
There are repeated references to Lily as the blue-eyed Indian, and they need her eyes.
Right.
She clearly has brown eyes. And they zoom in, you see them, but you don't even have to zoom in. There are thousands of frames where she clearly has brown eyes, but for some reason we need a blue-eyed Indian, and she's not even Indian. These folks are. It's a made-up tribe of people that are Hispanic. It's like, and maybe they're Aztecs, but it's happening near America. I just don't even understand. But
I'm telling you, when they were at Cracker Barrel 15 minutes before they filmed this movie, when they were writing this movie, they were like, wouldn't it be funny if we talked about blue eyes and then used brown eyes for the entire time?
And this
is that makes more sense than them being like, of all the women in Hollywood that are trying to get a role who have blue eyes.
You couldn't find one with blue eyes.
Right.
No. Again, it's just this movie was so bad that somehow the native Hispanic people speaking their native accents sounded racist as hell.
Yes.
It sounded like the worst white person. This is how I think Mexicans speak, and I'm just going to do it.
I'll be honest. I didn't really realize that they were Hispanic. I thought they were just a bunch of white racist cowboys. Like I figured they were, symptoms of their time.
That's one of the dumbest things about this.
You know?
You're supposed to somehow think they're native, but they're also Hispanic, so maybe they're Aztec.
I thought they were native. I thought they were native to Alabama. Honestly.
Yeah. They might as well have been.
I was like, I mean, when he was, the dad, the disapproving dad of the relationship, I was like, well, I mean, we've all been there. It's the South,
Yeah, I will say I'm gonna have to disagree with you that she had the best acting in the whole movie. I think the best acting moment of the whole movie was Danny Trejo shaking his titties around to resurrect the crow.
They were nice.
I think that was the strongest performance I've ever seen him give. I was hard the whole moment.
They were beautiful.
I was just like, of course, this is exactly what this movie needs.
At least one of them was a C.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're thinking about anything here.
Nah.
I do think before we get to the war scar the score the war card. I've been doing this for years. There's repeated with God. I love y'all. This is to me is malpractice, and here's why this rando is malpractice. I'm crossing my arms because I'm so mad at myself right now. This is because, first of all, Tara Reid must be so bad at this that she never thought while she's saying the line about the blue eyes, and she's literally staring at Emmanuel Shrieky like, and assuming it's her, not a stunt double, and she's staring at her, fixing to pretend to cut her. She never thought for a second, well, she doesn't have blue eyes. It never crossed her mind. Also, would it really have done any worse for this movie if they just changed it to brown eyes?
Yeah.
Like, was it really going to be the? No, it has to be blue.
It's the crux that holds the whole plot together.
Apparently, and apparently, blue contacts are just too expensive.
Right.
They couldn't change one word, and one stupid actress couldn't point it out. Nobody could point it out. They were all around her, right? Shrieky was on set.
Yeah.
I really tried to look up I think I typed like something with Tara Reid, like what she interviews with her about this movie. No one has anything to say about their time in this movie.
No.
It was like
This is the one everyone wants to forget.
Yes. Speaking of that, shall we pray?
Yeah.
Shall we get wicked?
Okay.
Shall we come out of the refrigerator?
Oh my God.
There comes a time in every man's life.
All right. Top bill cast. And the top bill cast is real weird here because I'm looking. Usually IMDb is in order, but I don't necessarily think we need to get too fancy. Let's just say Edward Furlong here.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think, Drew?
So that was, I always got to make sure I'm thinking of the right person. That was the Crow, the lead guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less about him. I'm gonna give
Old
him
Eddie.
Give him an old.
He was
good.
so bad.
John Connor was a long time ago.
Yeah. But he
Yeah.
still had the same 12-year-old energy 10 years later.
Him as a character in this did nothing for me.
No.
To me, it was more fun to watch the villains. At one point, I was kind of rooting for the Satanic cult. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Just wrap it up.
I'm literally looking through my notes trying to find something positive I wrote about him, and yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah. I have a place in my heart for Edward Furlong because I'm such a diehard Terminator fan, and that the John Connor thing is so cool. And when I was a kid, it was so cool watching another kid be in such a great big movie.
Yeah.
But this is, if we haven't just pissed on Brandon Lee's grave, if we haven't just squatted and taken a shit at 12 o'clock in the afternoon where everyone can see it and taken a shit on Brandon Lee's grave, we just did it. This is the least physical, the least interesting, the most awkward. I mean, it makes Vincent Perez look like freaking Sly here. I mean,
it does.
This is just, but it's nonsensical. Like, it's not just that it's bad, but I'm asking myself, there was no one else. There wasn't a Mabius on the Hallmark Channel. There was nothing. Is it because no one would do it, or are you just like, Edward Furlong was in town that week?
Everyone else read the script and they're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong was like, I mean, I got an empty 2 hours I can cover here.
He's like, I love this. Let's do it.
He needed the $50,000.
You know, like, maybe Arnold doesn't even call him back. Like, you know, and Arnold's like apparently the nicest guy in Hollywood, you know, and then, but Edward Furlong calls him. He's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement here. That ate some major crow.
Ate some massive crow.
Ate some crow.
Oh, my God.
All right, supporting cast, and I'm going to, because it's so forgettable, with the last two movies, I've had to remind myself who they played because they were so forgettable. So we got Yuki Akamoto as Pestilence. Pestilence. That's a hard word to say. And he was the first guy to dump gasoline all over himself for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Why not, man?
Marcus Chong.
He was spin kick.
Yeah, I think so.
He was
Yeah,
spin kick. Yeah.
Marcus Chong is War. Tito Ortiz is Famine. Oh God. Tara Reid is Lola Byrne, and then David Boreanaz as Luke Crash. And I'm trying to think. I guess we got to go through a lot of these. The priest was played by Rosenberg Salgado. Obviously, we got Danny Trejo as Harold. And then we got some of the other ones we talked about earlier with Draymond John.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give him, I mean, again, going on the theory that this movie is so bad it was good, which is how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Like, I had fun watching it, and it was all because of the supporting cast. They were so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what? I'm going to give them a thumbs up. I'm going to give them as a crow flies.
Mm-hmm.
I seriously question your judgment now.
I'm sorry. I am too.
Listen, from episode 1 of Movie Wars 2.0, I right away said, I don't know things.
Sure.
I don't care. I just watch movies, and if I enjoy them, they're good. And if I don't
watch
enjoy
movies
them,
and I don't know things.
and I don't care to know things. I just, I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
I think we've got our
respect.
first piece of merch.
Yeah. Yes.
Just watch movies and don't know things.
Yeah.
Drew Davis.
I don't know things.
I don't want to know things. Like, when who are really unhappy? Smart people. All right,
Yeah.
So anyway,
I gotta give it Eat Crow. I'm sorry. There was literally nothing positive I could pull out of this movie, even down to the one person I think actually tried, still didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
So it's a huge Eat Crow for me.
I respect your game. I respect your commitment to what you said, and I love that you managed to drop your line again. But I also
That's fair.
Magnificent crow dick here, and here's what makes me mad. We're all creatives, right? And we all do a lot of things. You do music, comedy, like we all just we're like what's that word? Polymath, you know.
That's not the poly I thought you were gonna go with.
We're all polyamorous.
We all
with each other.
Everybody.
It's like, all right.
I do movie wars because I love movies.
Yeah.
And I know that for just like anything else, you would probably ask a lot of actors, like, it's a job. Eventually, it does become a job. Unless you're a Daniel Day-Lewis or a Joaquin, like, they do it because they love the challenge, they love the art.
Yeah.
But it makes me so mad. It just seems that nobody ever raised their hand and just said, what the fuck are we doing here?
Do this?
Can we...
Why are we here?
This makes no sense, and nobody on set is saying Brandon Lee is. People like him.
Yeah,
like people are sad he's dead, and we're like still doing this in this way. Tara Reid's not like she has brown eyes. No one asked any questions. Take pride in what you do, Danny Trejo. I mean, his best work is probably Heat. And then
Spy Kids.
And then Rodriguez films. and yeah, Machete's fun for what it is. I mean, he's done good work. Heat's one of the most beloved films of all time. He does a good job. His name's also Danny in it.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, maybe no one wanted to be out and about. Maybe in between scenes they ran right back to the trailer. They was like, I can't be out here.
They don't want anyone to know
the
that
Utah
they're in this
deserts.
So that's why I give it the most massive eat crow ever, because someone has to raise their hand and say, we just got to change something about what...
Hey, can we make a good movie? Is that okay?
It's like I know I signed a contract, but can we try?
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Does anyone want a future in acting here?
Yeah.
You want this to be your last stop? And did no one walk up to Dennis Hopper and say, weren't you in an Apocalypse Now, one of the greatest movies ever made in history of film? And no one ever walked up and said, what are you doing here? Like, what?
Did no one walk up to Damon John and say, you should stick with fashion?
Stick with clothes. And I hope you never do a show about investing in weird businesses.
How did he look like he'd never smoked weed before?
I know. He looks very...
That scene, he's just...
I know. It's like, dude, you made clothing for people whose job is to smoke weed.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally a part of the job description.
Oh, my God. E-Crow.
Yeah, big time. But I do appreciate the commitment. Poetic killings.
There were none.
There were, yeah.
They were just so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of the killings were memorable. So
I will say, and now that I'm thinking about it, this may be the only positive thing I can say about this movie. It is the only movie in this series where the Crow tried to kill himself.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because it is the only movie where the Crow did not want to come back. All the other movies, the Crow had a very specific personal reason to actually want to come back. This time, he clearly had no interest in coming back.
Yeah, he was like, they were like, why are you here? He's like, I don't even know, which might have been the actor being honest about like his life right there.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back either.
So that is the only interesting thing I can say about this movie, is the fact that I do think it dealt with one little detail that none of the other movies did. But other than that one attempt, none of the deaths were in any way memorable.
Well, I do think, deaths, none of them are memorable. But with what you were saying, that is the fun part about these movies, is evaluating the motivations behind the Crow. Yeah. They all are a little different. So far, they haven't made any like one that's like too similar to the other. So that's kind of a fun difference to look at. But I don't even remember these deaths. I think I died. I died when watching. I remember my death when watching this movie.
Yes. Yeah. A part of me died.
Like, the only death I remember was he died because he didn't fuck Tara Reid.
Yes.
In her prime.
I get it, man. If we were all there, we would, any one of us, we would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go eat crow here because I just don't remember like a death. Like I watched it a week ago, and again, for the audience knows how disciplined I am with my research. I usually watch them multiple times. I will watch the commentaries. At one point, before I watched it the first time, I was messaging a guy in Missouri. I was like, hey, I'll buy your rare, because I couldn't find a DVD, and it had 5 commentaries. Why does this movie have 5 commentaries, by the way?
I now I kind of want to listen to. I mean, at least one of them.
5 of them. And Edward Furlong's apparently doing one of them. I would love to hear his take.
Okay, y'all. For the next 5 years, we're going to review the commentaries once a year.
Did we just decide to make a new Wicked Prayer exclusive podcast?
Wicked Prayer Wars. But this is the first time in Movie Wars history where I could not watch it again. Yeah. I kept pulling it up maybe, and I said, no. I'm not going to let myself do this. I don't remember, whereas the first one was so memorable, and they were so unique, and they were unique to the villain. There is nothing, and there's no blood. There's no. This is hilarious. The only thing I remember him doing was crawling under that sheet with the kid.
Oh, yeah.
And he kind of disappears. Like, that was a weird use of your powers. You won't kill anybody, but you'll disappear under a sheet with a kid. Very weird.
That was weird. That was a weird scene.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Eat crow.
Eating some major crow here. 3-0. The crow flies has 0. The Mask.
What mask?
Yeah.
Was that like, in general, his look or everybody?
Everyone's like, just the look, the aesthetic of the people. But yeah,
okay. I got a rant here for a second.
Please do.
Because, so I grew up very Christian. And because of this, I happen to know a lot about the whole like Antichrist, Satan coming back situation. Not even because I wanted to, just because it was involved in life.
Yeah.
When you can't even do the basic research to figure out, A, where would the mark of the beast end up on somebody who had it, which in the Bible is on their hand, not 4 times on their chest. B, if you can't even figure out that the fucking pentagram on his belt is supposed to be upside down.
Yeah, right. I was noticing that too.
What the actual fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Why did any of you guys get paid?
Was there one upside down cross?
Yeah.
The cross on the Satanic Church was regular.
You're right. Yeah.
No, it was regular.
It was regular.
I don't want to tell anyone how to run their
upside down.
I don't want to tell anyone how to run their satanic cults.
Yeah.
But like,
there's some basics. There's some fucking basics that you just have to do, and you didn't do any of them. You didn't.
Yeah. I have a lot more about this in the bad guy version. I'll talk about.
Also, why is our lead villain literally wearing like rave clothing?
Yeah.
In a place where it doesn't make sense, and then out of nowhere it switches to like a 1960s country music star tuxedo at the end. Who was in charge here? Was no one in charge?
Maybe they were just like, read the script once, put on whatever clothing you want. Come on and film after Cracker Barrel in 30 minutes.
It's literally like someone took a dart in the costume room and just threw it when someone came in the room, and whatever it hit, they were like, "You're gonna wear that."
So what you're saying is, as the crow flies.
Fuck it, eat crow. I hate so much crow.
I hate the consistent theme here is that we're just like we're asking ourselves, why did nobody say anything?
I'm telling you, they did. They got together and were like, let's make the worst movie. Everyone always tries to make the best movie. Let's make the worst movie. Mm-hmm. But, okay, so I did have fun laughing at how ridiculous everything costume-wise was. So even though I enjoyed it, I'm going to go with the Eat Crow, because if it's like, did they do it well? Well, no.
No.
But who cares? Like, we do right now, but usually.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're racking it up here. 4-0.
This is the one that saves them right here.
I thought this would be better. No.
Have any of them gone full Eat Crow?
I'm trying to think in the history of Movie Wars. Well, none of these have. None of the Crow movies. I'm trying to think if we've ever had a 0 on the scorecard.
Because we got close, I feel like.
We got close with 2. City of Angels.
City of Angels had 1.
Yes, that had 1. Okay.
1 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is actually unprecedented.
Yeah.
And of course, this is also the first time we've ever tackled an entire franchise. We usually do So this is good learning for us. How good are those bad guys, huh?
Listen, I'll give them their props. I'm gonna say I always forget the correct way of saying it, but as the crow flies, the villains were kind of what saved this movie. What tried to save this movie? Right from the beginning, they give you more backstory of the villains than they ever do with the actual main character.
Yeah.
Again, more writing does not mean better.
If I were to compare it to like all the movies on Earth, they weren't great villains.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like
it's like that moment in BoJack Horseman when the director's like, "We're not making Citizen Kane," and he's like, "Yeah, it's a shitty movie, right?" And he's like, no, we're literally just making a different movie. This movie's awesome, but it's not Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like.
I'll give him for what it was. I'm gonna give him a crow to fly.
Oh man, Drew. Oh man, Drew. That's commitment, baby.
Got to do something. I'm a people pleaser. I'm afraid like Tara Reid or the hearse driver. Funeral going.
You're afraid to give this a straight 0.
Yeah, I am. I
get it.
We'll help I'm not afraid at all. There's again, when a movie everyone overacts, it's the director's fault. Mm-hmm. But there also comes a point where everyone has to be like you said, why? Why are we doing this?
I've got a career to uphold here.
Literally. Please just put a little bit of effort in, but no one did. Eat crow.
Yeah.
Even with the cult leader dialogue at the wedding, like I'm praying now that someone eventually has me officiate their wedding and asks me to use that dialogue.
Do you want to be Satan or what?
Drew Davis is down for Satanist weddings now, ladies and gentlemen.
But only if I can use dialogue from the Crow Wicked Prayer.
Only if he can finish by saying, I now pronounce you devil and shorty.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'm going. This is actually my biggest problem with the movie, where the first one was so unique in this way, and I know some you guys said they were a little one-dimensional. I kind of liked their dimensionality, but I thought the uniqueness of the villains. You said something interesting, because I didn't become a Christian until later in my life, but I grew up a metalhead.
Nice.
And listening to Slipknot and Pantera.
So you had the same cult leader knowledge.
Yeah, and I also, some of my favorite movies are like The Omen, Omen 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And those movies are just very interesting to me, and those aren't super accurate either, but they're, at least the lore is a little more aligned with what you would think a movie about the Antichrist would.
Yeah.
These are the weirdest, friendliest Satanists ever.
Yeah.
They're like trailer parks. They're like, this is like Mean Girls with Satan mixed in.
It's a satanic cult that welcomes everybody.
Yeah.
All right. It's like, you know.
I do love the fact that every time Tara Reid feels guilty, she's just like, I just don't want to be white trash.
Yeah.
It's her backstory. It lets you know why she's going through such lengths to become Satan's woman.
It's so sad that like the only thing keeping her from being white trash was making the Antichrist.
Yeah.
It was like, that was...
There were probably less extreme measures she could have
There's
taken.
not a management job at the local store. There's not a... There's just nothing, you know, but they're Satanists. And it reminds me, I used to do a bit a long time ago. I didn't know she was a Satanist, but she sent me an email and invited me to a potluck at the Church of Satan that she worshipped. And I'm just like, is a potluck a Church of Satan thing? Like, you're talking sandwiches and finger foods? I'm like,
it's a barbecue.
What about sacrificing the virgins? Is that part of it too? Like,
I forgot that was your bit. I remember that bit. I like that bit.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That's like a 6-year-old bit.
Love it.
But I was like, the potluck at the Church of Satan. What about the virgins and the sacrifice?
Did you go? I mean,
no. It's kind of
free food's free food at some point.
Yeah, I was weirded out, but that's what this is. This is like a potluck at the Church of Satan. Like, these are, like you said, the cross isn't even upside down. Like that's like that's like the symbol is the upside down. It's like
you couldn't even get the basics right.
Maybe we're looking at this movie all wrong. Maybe the message is actually to satanic cults, which is like, hey, you don't have to do all the things correctly.
Yeah.
Because they technically they succeeded in bringing Satan back for a little bit.
Like,
so like as far as satanic cults go, they're doing more than most.
Like, we need a tier 3 Satanism that's accessible to trailer park children.
Yeah. All are welcome.
And Aztec Indian hybrids that are in this movie. Like, they're just not raising enough hell here for me. I mean, Damien was 3 years old and he killed his nanny, you know, in The Omen.
Well, they should step it up. You're right.
Yeah. It's just, this is Satanism light. This is like, this is like
it's a very progressive Satanism.
The Coors Light of Satanism here. Hardly eat crow. God, this movie.
It's so bad.
I was mad at myself for making us watch this. Well, we got one category left. It's 5-0, or no, it's 6-0. Oh no, actually we have 2 categories left. Sorry, it's 5-0. All right, the Shitty City Award.
What city?
Well, yeah, there was no city. The Shitty Desert Award? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which of all the places you could have gone to the desert, why did they pick Utah?
Yeah.
They could have just picked Arizona, which actually feels more like Mexico. Mm-hmm. But no.
They were all
they could have gone to New Mexico.
They were all hanging out in Utah and said, wouldn't it be funny if we made a movie this afternoon?
Yeah.
And then they went and they filmed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no character to it. There's nothing that makes it unique, just other than being a desert while everything else has been in a city setting. It just... Again, had you not even put the Crow name to this movie, there, even with the Crow name, I was like, how is this the Crow? Like, no, E-Crow. It's all shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to me, it's clearly, it does have its place in the Crowness. Because, I mean, the plot of the Crow.
The Crowaning.
Yeah. Like, but when you look at the backdrop and the setting compared to, and I didn't like the one in the last movie, so we'll go to the first two. I mean, like, there was no dark lights and rainy story. It didn't feel like Gotham.
No.
I don't know how you could have done it in a desert, but maybe the first idea is don't do it in a desert, you know.
Yeah.
But so no, it's E-Crow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. I remember comments from the last podcast, like one of the first deaths, like that perverted cop, it looked like it was behind like a Kroger in a suburban area.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like each film has slowly degraded down into, and this film has basically removed anything that makes it a Crow movie minus a mask and a crow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so what if, maybe this is devil's advocate with us, which in this case we're not, that's a weird thing to be in.
This is Jesus advocate.
A wicked prayer advocate.
Yeah. All the crows have happened in like desolate, rundown places, and so by that logic, where they were at was pretty desolate and rundown. It was just a different type of scenery, but it still had like the essence of crappy town.
In Salvation or in this one?
In this one.
Oh,
this
okay.
one, yeah.
But
So-
here's the thing: if you're gonna,
but also
change,
Salvation too.
the reason the settings for the other ones worked so well was because of the aesthetic of the Crow. The fact that they went with that goth nature and wanted to keep the goth nature going through the whole series, that's why they stuck with this.
Yeah.
Then you suddenly take this very specific look and try to apply it to a very brightly lit. Again, it worked because the other ones leaned very noir. This one had no style to it whatsoever. Everything was so flatly lit. They literally just looked like they put up a shit ton of lights, pointed them all at the actors with no rhyme or reason, and just said, cool, we're going to go with that. It did nothing to bring that style of character. It didn't even give it any type of understanding for the setting they were in.
Yeah.
So no, I can't. There's nothing to defend here, in my opinion.
No, I'll give it an eat crow because I do like that about the movies that they keep it. I wish it was a timepiece and you saw the same city throughout different times.
It'd be cool.
And you could kind of watch the evolution of the place or like the degrade of it.
Yeah.
Like then the city itself would become like the first one, another character.
Yeah.
But, I don't care about Utah.
Yeah.
No.
You actually said exactly what I was going to say. Great films can make the setting a character, you know, whether it's beautiful, degraded, whatever it is, like it can actually act as a character. I just don't even think like, here's the thing. Show us the trailer park. Cause these kids are obviously all trailer park kids. You find out eventually they all know each other. They're either went to prison together. Like obviously they all had something, but there's nothing to unify these people. The first one we knew, like everyone acted the way they did. Cause it seems like they're all in this environment and they all grew out of the ground. There's no intentionality here.
Yeah.
They're kind of trying to lean Western. Like it looks like they're trying to do spaghetti Western with maybe some Robert Rodriguez type of flair, but is it Robert or Richie? I can't.
No, it's Robert.
Robert, sorry. I was is it Danny Rodriguez? But
the other thing is, being in the desert, they could have so easily leaned into the noir lighting because you could have had all these super harsh shadows, be it at day or night. Because at the night, especially since the whole time it was supposed to have a full moon, basically, you could have easily had these really cool harsh shadows that would have given life and some character to the setting. But they didn't do any of that.
They could, you're right. Yeah. They could have. I think they would have needed a lot more to save the movie, but they could have like put it in a darker tone.
Oh, absolutely.
And more nighttime scenes. I mean,
had the script stayed exactly the same, but had someone tried on this film, it could have gone from an absolute 0. Which, by the way, this movie has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Right. I have never seen that before.
That's pretty low, right?
I'm gonna go give it good. I'm gonna go give it good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Just try to help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't even try is what I think genuinely makes everything so bad.
Yeah, and I think one thing we just uncovered is this really falls on the cinematography because and the camera work, because that was our one of our few dotes on City of Angels was at least it looked nice and it was a little overdone, but the haziness, the great angles, at least when it was when no one was trying to act.
Yeah.
They were like
there were images.
They were like, let's make a crow movie.
Yeah. And there were images.
This one was like, let's make a Western with a side of crow.
That is a great example of a terrible script, but everybody tried on that set. This, they got the terrible script, and instead of saying, okay, I'm going to put my all into making this piece of shit actually something we could look at, everyone just said, no, it's going to just go to direct to DVD anyways, so fuck it. Let's just do a terrible job.
This is how bad the imagery here is, because I make all the content. I was like Google searching images from this film, and even just looking at still shots, I was like, ugh. Just even a still shot looks so unenthusiastic. Like no one cared.
It was like a bunch of high schoolers right after school saying, let's make a movie.
But I've seen better high school movies.
Yeah. I've seen better, worse movies. Like even some of those straight to TV Stephen King, Tommy Knockers is better than this. Langoliers is better than this, and Langoliers is awful. Well, it's 6-0. Do we think we're gonna go for the triple crown here?
I think we can do it. I think we can do it.
Revenge served awesome.
Here's the thing, this movie, you kind of forget about the revenge. It ends with him stopping Satan from returning to Earth. I mean, like, okay, sure, yeah, I guess the revenge still happened, but like, you get more caught up in the overall plot of the bad stuff that's going to happen, if that's what you want to call it. Plot. But so, no, eat crow here. I mean...
Yeah, this was not a revenge movie. This was a save the world movie, and
Crow didn't even care. He was like, "Please let me die. I don't. What do I have to do to die? Do I have to let Satan come back? I'll do that."
No, eat crow.
He comes back for revenge, but that ends up getting lost immediately. And also, is this like? Are they gonna make kind of like a kind of lackluster Antichrist? Don't you just get the feeling like if they did actually make the Antichrist, it's gonna be like the worst Antichrist? Like he's not gonna be able to.
So bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they did a lot of studying about theology or Antichrist or cults. I think they were just like, wouldn't it be funny if? And then that's as far as they went.
I go eat crows here, and like you said, and to take that point even further, I don't even know what anyone's doing here.
No, no one did.
Like the pivot to the Antichrist thing, and these being kind of the jolliest Satanist on the planet with their their regular crosses on their occult church, and
they're rebranding Satanism for everybody.
Yes,
they want you to know you could be a Satanist too.
Yeah, exactly. I just and watching Edward Furlong, anytime he did try to be physical, watching him try to exert effort here, no one's scared of this.
No.
Yeah,
no one's scared of this.
No.
This is Eat Crow. This whole 7-0 or 0-7. Holy smokes!
Yeah,
this is
first time in movie wars history.
It is, yes, and
but it makes sense with this movie. Like that's not a surprise.
It's a nightmare, and the whole time I just kept thinking, "I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm so sorry that they did this.
Look what they did to my boy.
Look what they did to my baby." Yeah, I'll close with this. They eviscerated every feeling, all the feelings that people reacted to the remake with. That's not here. They weren't considering that. I don't think anybody on set maybe knew who Brandon Lee was. Yeah. It doesn't feel like they ever watched a Crow film.
What year did this movie come out?
2005.
2005. But the first one came in 1994. So honestly, like probably a lot of the people didn't care or know about it at that point. Like enough time had passed where they were just like, let's make another movie.
And here's the crazy thing. It started in 2001. They filmed it in 2003, and it didn't come out till 2005. So it was a 5-year process.
That means so many people were like, please don't put this movie out.
Yeah.
Like, so many people were like, we don't think this is...
Yeah.
That's why nobody talks about it. That's why Tara Reid has no interviews where she's like, let me tell you about my time with Wicked Prey.
Yeah. American Crow here.
Yeah.
Well, we just did a nice shitting on this movie.
Hope you brought your toilet paper.
And I'm sorry I drug you two here. I forgot how bad it was.
I loved it.
We're going to do good movies on this podcast again. We will do good movies on this podcast. That's my guarantee to you.
But not next week.
1 out of 4 so far.
Yes.
But not next week.
Yeah. Does Bill Skarsgård save us? That's the question. Is the reaction to this reboot warranted? I'm a diehard Crow fan, always have been, so it'll be interesting to hear your perspectives. And but anyway, thank you for saying your prayers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
I'm Drew.
Love ya.
Movie Wars.